2 days later, I guess.
I thought I noticed this. I noticed it.
We're moving.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, how's that? Well, I just threw it. I couldn't see each other. Yeah, I did. You know, get back up there.
Are we on?
Thank you.
Doug. Very sharp. Like when you're in the light. I don't know. I just chassis with the.
Huh?
Yeah.
I thought about doing that, but I kind of figured I could get a better understanding. Like, I didn't know worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But the idea was, is just,
You know what?
I'm going to get AI because they haven't been. Semester, and I.
Well, that's why I have chat. And I look at it. Still learning. But I have chat. It's like really it doesn't matter.
It's a thing where you're able to or for the printer.
Even online.
That's why I'm printing it. I'm shortening everything down.
Questions or not? Time 7:02, I call this session of the Whitewater Student Government to order. If you're able, please rise alongside me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. Madam Clerk, if you would you please call the roll?
Senator Janetti.
Here.
Senator Gielich.
Present.
Senator Hernandez.
Present.
Senator Lang.
Present.
Senator Majors.
Present.
Senator Marty.
Present.
Senator Patricus.
Present.
Senator Purnell.
Present.
Senator Reber.
Present.
Senator Reyes.
Present.
Senator Richardson.
Present.
Senator Schroffnagel.
Present.
Senator Thompson.
Present.
Senator Vanderhyde.
Present.
Senator Wheaton. Speaker Wilson.
Present. Wonderful. With that, we'll move into special order, starting with the appointment of 2 Drumlin District seats. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for a Drumlin District seat? And once, and twice. Seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we'll move on to 1 Esker District seat. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for an Esker District seat? And once, and twice. Seeing none. With that, we'll move into 6 off-campus district seats. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for an off-campus district seat? And once, and twice. Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we'll move to the appointment of 2 Rock County district seats. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for a Rock County district seat? And once, and twice. Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're on to guest speakers. We don't have any, so we're on to the approval of the agenda in minutes. Moving a little out of order on to item C, agenda for March 2nd, 2026. I very briefly ask for unanimous consent to strike item A and B, both the minutes, as we could not send them out this week, as I'm sure you're all aware via the countless emails you've been given. Are there any opposed? And once, and twice. Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we have struck A and B. We are on to the approval of the agenda for March 2nd, 2026. Can I get a motion to approve? Senator Lang?
Motion to approve.
Seconded by? Senator Schroffnagel. Can I get a voice vote? Any opposed? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, with that, the agenda for March 2nd, 2026 has been approved unanimously. We're already off to a better start than last time. With that, we're on student issues and concerns. Are there any student issues and concerns in the gallery tonight? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're on to reports. We don't have any internal committee reports, but we do have some external, so we'll start with communications. We don't have any external, but we do have internal, so we'll start with communications.
I apologize for picking things today.
Quick reminder, Senator Majors is moving. Not a huge thing, but food and drink reminders. We try to keep it low, at least out of sight. Thank you very much.
All right. Good evening. Over the last week, the Communications Committee has continued its efforts on designing the gala invitations and will continue to do so in the coming weeks. We plan to continue
designing invites, and eventually the program and sponsor booklets closer to the gala itself once all information is provided. And that's all we have for this week.
Wonderful. Any questions? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, with that, we're right on to records and archives.
Records and Archives met last week. We spoke a little over an hour in the Senate office, and they just kind of chipped away. We made Staples, organizing the drive, and Herman and Pinnell did us the gracious favor of sitting in SAI and just scanning in documents for an hour. So that's all. Yeah.
Any questions for the records and archives committee? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, with that, we're on to officer reports. Same deal as last week, they've been sent out. If you have an electronic device near you, you can pull them up there. Otherwise, if I'm not mistaken, they're in the packet in front of us? Are they in the packet in front of us or no? They're not in the packet in front of us. You should have them sent out. Are they sent out?
I'm not quite sure what the packet. They were sent out on Saturday.
Can someone confirm to me that they've been sent out? Does anyone have them? You all have them? Okay, wonderful. So keep them open as we move along here. We will start with the report of our president, Doug. Any questions? Going once? Going twice? Senator Major.
I see that you have, in the upcoming meetings this week, over the Provost search and screen.
Yep.
Has there been any other updates given on that you know of at this moment?
Yeah, so the committee met last week. There was 42 applicants we worked through, Abby and I. We got that list down to 15 this week are the WebEx interviews. So it's essentially just a phone call, no camera or anything. It's just we have the initial interviews of those candidates to get us down to a smaller pool to actually bring to campus. So I have like a couple meetings each day starting tomorrow, at different 1 hour periods of time where we'll sit down and interview those candidates. And then I believe next week we meet as a committee to create a list of finalists.
Any other questions for President Bradman? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're on the report of our Vice President, Abby Reiser. Any questions for Vice President Reiser? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we'll move on to the report of our WSG advisor, Kim Clarkson. Any questions for Vice President? Would you like to?
Just very quickly, just sharing that, working on some research related to bylaws versus standing rules and open meeting law in general. Had several law day sessions through UW system or University of Wisconsin system last week that were related to the work that you all do and hoping to help you all continue that work. And then other than that, really just working with the directors, the president, and the VP in all of the efforts that they shared in their remarks. With that, I yield.
Any questions for Vice President? Advice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're in the e-board report, starting with the report of our Director of Academic Affairs, Olivia Gross. Any questions for Director Gross? And once? And twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're on the report of our Director of Student Affairs, Maddie Rosquist. Any questions for Director Rosquist? Senator Richmond.
So I was recently added to this committee, I believe. Is there meeting time information?
Great question.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I added you to the calendar invite a little bit before this meeting. It is 8 p.m. Tuesday, or 8 a.m., I'm sorry. So tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., Warhawk Connection Center. I apologize for not being in my report.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none, wonderful with that one on the report of our Associate Director of Student Affairs, Steve Turk. Going once, going twice. Seeing none, wonderful with that, we're on the report of our Director of Communications, page 100. Any questions? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, wonderful with that, we're on the report of our Division Clerk, Sandy Jacobs. Any questions? Going once, going twice. None, wonderful with that, we're on the report of our Senate Parliamentarian, Jordan Burnett.
Good afternoon. I will go ahead and give my report verbally. Although it was given in your, it was sent out to you as well. Last week I was working on some standing rules changes, as I'm sure you are aware at this point. Planning for the Senate training that will be going up. And doing some reading of Robert's rules, working on my transition binder, all of that fun stuff. For my fun fact this week, I have a few that are very closely related. Did you know that quorum is 1/2 or more of all voting members of a body? So that would be the senators, right? A negative quorum is whatever is needed to vote down a measure. So if we all get together and I decide, man, this standing rules change is really heinous and I hate it so much. And I get together with a third of you and I decide, we all decide we're going to vote it down. That would constitute a negative quorum. And the act of a third of us getting together would constitute a meeting. And because we all got together and we all decided together that we were going to vote it down, we would have to follow the rules of Wisconsin open meetings law and have to disclose that we were having that meeting, basically. We would have to follow all the procedure that goes along with that. It's frowned upon, do not do it, basically. Walking quorum is when a series of gatherings happen that each individually would not be quorum, but when used together would be quorum. So if I go up to Senator Lane and I say, hey, we should both do this thing. We should both vote aye on this bill. And then I go to Senator Marty and I say, we should vote aye on this bill. And I go down the line and I say, we should vote aye on this bill. And we all agree. Once I get to quorum, then that constitutes a meeting. Quorum plus any business is a meeting. Any business, when you decide to do something that is within your purview, within the purview of the body, within the authority of the body, that is a meeting. Walking quorum also works if I go to, let's say, my good friend Doug, and I say, hey, Doug, you are not a voting member of this body. So I'm going to ask you to go to Senator Lane and ask him to vote aye on the bill, and ask Senator Reber to vote aye on the bill, and ask everybody else down the line to vote aye on the bill, because I'm not doing it. He is doing it. That would still count. It doesn't matter if a proxy does it. It doesn't matter if you do it. It still counts. Do not do this. It is illegal. Don't do it. We want to be following the law, please and thank you. Additionally, I was not planning on bringing this up, but as it seems to be relevant for tonight's conversation, when a motion is put forward and it has multiple parts to it, let's say I want to put forward a motion that is on Tuesdays, I move to put, for example, on Tuesdays, all students have to wear purple pants and purple shirts. And you think, I really agree that all students should wear purple shirts on Tuesdays, but I don't think that they should wear purple pants on Tuesdays. You can move to divide the question, which is, it will divide the question so that you can vote and say that these two parts are two separate questions. So you can vote on both wearing a purple shirt, and you can vote on wearing purple pants, and you don't have to vote on both of them at the same time. You can do this if it's a different article that if it's a different paragraph, if it's part of the same sentence, you can do it. It just has different requirements for different circumstances. But just know that this is something that you can do if it's something you want. Thank you, and I yield to questions.
Any questions for public hearing? And once, and twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're on to the report of our deputy speaker. Speaker Tree.
Happy Monday, everyone. It's week 6 of the semester already. Can you believe that? I'm working on some constitutional revisions for tonight. Thank you to everyone who took a look at it. I got to a lot of you into those responded it. Continuing to work on some policy revisions. So if you're a big fan of policy, which I know many of you are, you can talk to me if you want to see that. I'm also looking for a way to track the whole office hour, not just 1 hour. And I want to get a cumulative total of how many office hours we're spending. So if you have a way to do that, I'd love to hear it and you do it. I'm also working on 2 bills, so if you want to write a bill that will have an impact, not just meaningless changes, you can talk to me. Kind of looking for someone to take the lead on it. So I don't have to do it. But if you want to write a bill, with that, I yield.
Any questions for Deputy Tree? Senator Richardson?
What is the bill about?
Even if you're interested, you can talk. I'd love to give you more information about it.
Any other questions? I have one. What's the bill about?
If you're interested, I'd love for you to come talk to me. I'd love to get you information.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're on my report. All the normal meetings, cabinet, budget committee this week. Very excited. Edge of my seat, if you will, for that meeting. Continuing to meet with Communications Director Linneman, Vice President Reiser, President Bradley, some gallery sponsorship stuff. And in terms of some of the AI work I've been doing, that committee is almost fully built now. By the end of the week, I think we'll have all membership, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we'll be able to meet for the first time. So looking forward to that. On this Friday, I'm setting a deadline for myself to get you all some some rough information about what training looks like. And it will be pretty broad because I want to keep some surprises, but there are some things that we'll get out of the way next week, so you'll have a week's notice about some of the stuff we'll be doing during training. Do we have any questions for myself? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're on unfinished business. And we don't have any, so we're on new business. Item A, S252608, Constitutional Revision Act of Spring 2026. So if the submitters would like to walk up now, I believe they have a presentation. If you could, President Bradley, pull up that presentation.
I didn't know it was a sponsor.
I asked.
Didn't know. Must be stressed. It's good.
You do that now, like you?
No, that's good. Give this here. Here.
Hello everyone. We have an opportunity. Actually today, we're learning constitutional amendments, right? Every semester, we have an opportunity to change the Constitution.
Nope, not here. On the right.
Perfect. Change our standing rules is relatively simple in comparison, right? It's a 2/3 vote of the Senate, signature of the President. In comparison, it's not too difficult. The process for changing our Constitution, much more complex. We need a 4/5. Trying to figure out how to work this thing. You need a 4/5 vote of the Senate, which is a much higher bar, and then it goes to referendum, right? So when you vote for president, you'll also vote on 5 different referendum that we're looking at today, and it'll be, here's the question, yes or no, and you need 2/3 of the students who vote on that to say yes, and then it comes back to us to ratify those results, right? So in the past, we do, executive election results. We'll also look at referendum results, right? That comes from our Constitution. You might be asking, why change the Constitution?
So the Constitution and the standing rules the Constitution and the standing rules are fundamentally different documents. And as Nick said, it's harder to change the Constitution because it's meant to be a framework that guides the organization. And the standing rules are supposed to be easier to change. So the Constitution is difficult to change, and the standing rules are easier to change. And the Constitution should really only be changed when there's a clear reason to change the Constitution. It shouldn't just be kind of revised. And then often the Constitution is referred to as a framework, and it creates a process, establishes an individual authority, and does the what and the why. The standing rules is much different. It's rules that are permanent in nature and how authority is executed, and then it's the how and the when. It's just a difference in importance. The Constitution is much more important. It's meant to lay a framework. That's why it requires a higher vote. And the standing rules is not less important, but can be changed easier and is seen as a flexible document.
And that's your chair of the Constitutional Revision Committee. He's the expert in all that. Looking at some history here, right? 1 year ago, spring 2025, we looked at some constitutional amendments. We added a process where the clerk is temporarily vacant, right? She's sick, or we changed that, added that process. We defined the difference between standing and special committees. We also rewrote the governing document hierarchy, right? So let's take a look at that. And then 2 years prior, we rewrote the preamble, allowed a virtual presence for senators, and we changed the seat allocation formula. Long ago, what we used to do is the formula in the Constitution of how we allocate our seats, right? We get 27, depending on what districts they go into, right, that allocation. The formula would happen, and it would go before the body, and then we would fail it every single year because the formula sucked. So now we fixed it, and we have the one that I think works a little bit better, right? These are sections we're looking at today to be revised. Article 1, Section 2, I and J, which is about the Student Senate, if you will. Article 1, Section 6B, which is for the Student Senate voting. Article 3, Section 1, which is about the composition and selection of the Executive Board. Article 3, Section 2, to be added, which is about the appointment of term. And then Article 1, which is currently records, and change it to question 1, right? Yellow is what we're looking to add. Red with the strike through looking to be removed. right? And if you see orange, that's formatting, right? So it's currently not capitalized, will be capitalized, or something like that. Right? I don't know if there's anyone. I don't know how well the colors show up in the printed background. It's all gray.
No colorations.
So if you see a strike through, that's a remove. So, but just to summarize those changes, right? For I, if you resign from a Senate officer position, or from the Senate, right, that will also constitute your resignation from a Senate officer position. All Senate leadership must attend Senate meetings, not just Rock County District Senators. It calls that out individually right here. I want to change it to, we want to change it to all Senate leadership. That way it's easier for like gavel transfers or conferring with the parliamentarian or conferring with the deputy speaker or what that looks like, right? A successor will be elected if a vacancy arises, just to kind of clearly codify that. And then to be a Senate officer, you must be a senator, right? It also explicitly states that. I have this chart here, I don't know if you can really see it, so I'm not going to go through it. But for J, the speaker presides over the Senate, right? Has the gavel, all of that fun stuff. And in practice, can transfer authority temporarily, right, if there's conflict of interest. You've seen it where the speaker will come present something, he'll hand the gavel over to me, and then I run that part of the meeting. When does that occur? Was the question I posed. So the amendment for J defines that. So you need the speaker's explicit consent, and then it must be recorded in minutes. So it will say the deputy speaker must place the gavel, right? And we do that in practice. It's just clearly codifying that happens. Are there any questions or anything I can answer here? Perfect. This is the text of I, right? This is currently what it says, and it's amended, it's all in front of you. So, okay. But what you're voting on is the exact question wording. And in the past, we've done the full text of a change, and with just the length of some of these, that was not a realistic possibility. Because at some point you just stop reading and say no or don't care or don't even vote. You just close the tab because you don't want to read all this. So we have kind of a summary of changes here. And then for every single question, I want to have this at the bottom or somewhere on that page where it's a tiny URL to the legislation itself. So you can look, you can click on it, you get the full context of everything while still getting a summary of what the changes are. So, this is question 1. Are there anything? Any questions or anything like that? Let's see here. It's in the appendix, right? Yeah, appendix B is the, if you go to the very end, very last page, is the exact question wording for all of them.
So this is question 2, and as the same is the same with this one. This is the part that we're getting rid of, everything that's struck through, and then the other stuff that's highlighted is the stuff that we will be bringing in instead of that, or replacing with. So what this is about is what happens if Senate ties during a vote. The current procedure, as you all know, is that if the Senate ties during a vote, Senate leadership votes. If the Senate leadership then ties, it goes to the presiding officer, and the presiding officer breaks the tie. The amended procedure would simply add one more step. The Senate would tie on a vote, the Senate would vote again, and then if the Senate ties again, it would repeat the same process of going to Senate leadership to vote, and then if they tie again, the presiding officer would break the tie ultimately. This allows senators to vote again if they feel they made a mistake, they want to change their vote, whatever. And in any case, it also kind of adds another step in the process, but one person has to be the end to break the tie no matter what, just because if it isn't built that way, then we could theoretically, one person can't tie. So we could theoretically go forever if it wasn't one person. And then this is the current, what it says right now, this is the amended version. And then this is the exact question wording, same thing as the first one, it's in the appendix of the legislation we have, and it's also, we will be doing the whole legislation in a tiny URL, so they'll be able to see everything as well.
Originally, I first wanted to look at this one because just the wording of B, right? The second sentence, if the number of members in the previous sentence present is equally divided. That sounds dumb. I wanted to kind of formalize that language. And then it was proposed to add another step to allow the Senate to vote, which I love. But, question 3. A lot of the language in the first couple sentences is similar, it's just cleaned up. But what's important is currently, right, if you look at the last sentence, whoever possesses the title of President and Vice President of the Rocky County campus will indefinitely retain 2 seats on the executive board for the entirety of the representation. And I wanted to change that, not because I don't want Rock County representation, but because the sentence of the board is the president will have the sole right to terminate the executive board members and to direct their work on behalf of WSG. So an interpretation of this could be that the president has the sole right to fire the chair and the vice chair of RSGA. And I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that should happen. There is an outlined removal process for cause. It should not be in the president's sole discretion. What I did want to do, right, because currently the president has the authority to hire and fire, right? What I want to change to is that in our standing rules, our RSGA chair is invited to the board meetings. I want to keep that, right? Don't want to change that. I did want to codify an invitation process for the speaker and the advisor, who are members, right, of in this room, while still allowing an expansion of membership for the board, right? A year ago, advisory councils didn't exist. I assume more work will happen in that space. Last semester, the CFAC chair was not a member of the board, or was not invited to members of the board meetings. That expansion still exists and is still allowed, right? Yes, they're the biggest change here. So Article 3, Section 1A of the WSG Constitution be amended to clarify executive board appointment authority. That's the first part. Then remove language about executive oversight of the Rock Street government, and define meeting invitees. So, any questions or anything? Senator Richardson, do you? Okay. Cool.
So this section does not have any red text that's struck through, and that's because it's completely new. This simply goes. This goes for the term of the executive board members, and then also the clerk. And it kind of flesh that out. So the terms are currently undefined, and they're defined more in role descriptions. We revised this, we added the terms to the Constitution, and it codifies the ability to hire and confirm a new director if a vacancy were to arise. This was something that I think all of us would think that would be in there. It's just kind of an oversight thing where people don't explicitly write things and they don't see them necessarily. But when you're reading through something that's long, you're trying to change Constitution and other things, I think there's some things that you just kind of miss sometimes. And we all assumed that this was in there, and when reading through it, you couldn't find it. So figured added that it's explicitly stated in here so that no one really has any interpretational differences. So the exact question wording will be, should a new Article 3, Section 2 of the WSG Constitution be inserted to define the term lengths and vacancy procedures for the executive board? And then obviously will be included in the tiny URL.
Anything on question 4? Question 5, this is the single largest just by length. But I asked a couple people what the current one is, which is records, and then it's the stuff on the right here, what it means, like in practice. And the best answer I got was, you could kind of like do an audit of things. The best answer was, I don't know. And that is not great. I can tell you what I assume it means, that an audit which typically refers to like financial matters, not exclusively though, right? Will be performed by majority of the Senate or the student body. There's no deliverables, no when does it due, who does it, right? Things like that. And the records to be open. So we did flip these, put them in section 3, and then kind of laid out them clearer. So, right, gave a deliverable, gave a timeline, who said who would do the audit. Section 2 here.
So section 2 will codify the president as the executive authority on financial matters. We already do this. This is just kind of codifying it into the Constitution. And then it also codifies the president's responsibility to do things like authorizing expenditures, proposing an annual budget, which they already do, and ensuring fiscal compliance, which would be just in line with any executive authority of an organization's finances.
And then section 1 here, WSG will make a budget in compliance with policy. Lays that out. The Senate will vote on a budget prior to going to CFAC. Right? The president can ask for additional funding from CFAC, right, through like a contingency fund request, like what happened last week, right? But then what it does is approval requires Senate notification. So, and then the Senate may request clarification and documentation on any financial activity. So, the majority go to the Senate, you can get a documentation, do something, right? The exact question already. Should Article 5 of the WSG Constitution be repealed and replaced to require Senate approval of budgets, protect the president's authority over spending, and clarify language regarding fiscal transparency and accountability? And the language of the referendum might be a little bit weird, repealed, replaced. That's because we're changing the entire thing. That's it. Does anyone have any questions on anything?
Any questions? Submitters? Advisor Clark?
The last section, you talked about the budget, but really they're creating and getting the budget approved a year in advance, so it's not the year that they necessarily serve as president. I don't know if we want to clarify that in the wording, because it is a full year in advance of expenditure.
It is. It gives this president's authority to request funding for the next president, to be a good steward of those funds.
What it says.
I agree. I don't know how we would.
Let's see.
You guys I mean, that already is a SUF policy, which is, I would say, covered under university financial policies. But
I have a question. I don't fully understand what you mean by that.
So if I look at section 2A,
Mhm.
right, they're responsible for authorizing expenditures this year for proposing
Are
an
you in the
annual
old section
budget.
2A? What do you?
I'm looking
Right here.
at what's right
Oh, okay. Sorry, I couldn't see.
Article 5, Section 2.
behind us.
Yep.
To the packet as well.
It says authorizing expenditures, which is for this year, proposing an annual organizational budget, which is for next year, and ensuring fiscal compliance, which is for this year. So it's just, I'm just asking if we need clarification, because the current president does not create a budget proposal, bring it before the Senate. The budget's already been determined and approved by SUFAC prior to the year beginning. If you feel like I'm nitpicking, I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure we're thinking it through how that gets blocked.
I'm okay with how it's currently written, but I'm open to changes.
Senator Richardson?
Just to clarify, are we like saying that we would like to go with advice, or are you suggesting that we clarify that SUFAC has a major part in the budget?
I believe that SUFEC is represented. I think it's just clarification of that the president is not creating the budget for the current year's Senate. They're really creating it for next year's Senate to spend,
Okay.
or next year's executive committee to spend. So it's really a clarification of when that spending takes place, if it's deemed necessary by you all.
Any other questions? I'm gonna give a few seconds. But I also have a question. Section 1E, under Article 5, why was it that?
Where? Right here.
Why was it that the president can request additional funding without Senate approval, and you need Senate approval for the entire budget?
I think that it's the president's role as president of a student organization to be allowed to request funding from a SUFAC class, right? Internally, the Senate should know about it, so then if it's an overreach of authority or whatever that looks like, there is an internal process of removal or internal misconduct or whatever that looks like. So looking at it through the lens of like a student organization, that's it. If we were a true governance body that wasn't beholden to other bodies, I think that's perfect. But seeing as that we are, that was why I was.
Senator Duke?
Wait, what was it? Oh, yes. So it says that the financial records and activities of WSG must be conducted transparently and will be open to the public upon request. How will we do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, a great question, and I'll answer it by telling you the difference between our Constitution and standing rules. The Constitution should define that we can do it, right? The standing rules should define how we do that. So, hoping to get another bill in front of you next week or the week after that will be contingent upon approval of these, that this will update the standing rules. So that's in there. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that was my question.
Senator?
Section 3B, the audit conducted by the president, is there an option to maybe change that to be the advisor instead of the president?
Where?
I mean, you could make a motion to change it, but Article 5, Section 3B, you want to change that to, I would point to the president's authority or power of the purse, I guess, as to why it should be them conducting that audit. They could delegate it, right, to the advisor, but the president should still have accountability to complete that.
Senator?
My point is that in a case where the president is embezzling funds, if they're the one conducting the audit, then it's kind of flawed from the start. So I think it should be a neutral party, not the financial officer. I mean, there's completely hypothetical, but it does happen, so we should have safeguards put in place.
I do like that. I'm not quite sure about embezzling funds, but neutral party is there. Great misuse of funds. I mean, if you want to make that content change, right, that's in your purview. I would point to kind of the impeachment process and the internal evaluation misconduct process. But.
Senator Healy?
Okay. Never mind.
All right. Senator Bradley?
I have a question that might answer a previous question. Submitters, is it true that as a governing body, we're subject to public record laws, and that anybody can email the campus record custodian, Thomas Wasowski, and request an open records request. And that's how you can get access to our transparent financial information.
That is true. Senator Richardson?
So for the parts that are striked out, did you say that they were gonna be moved to other parts?
Nope, it's removed. Will not be part of the Constitution.
Okay, there is a part that mentions like the records to be open.
Mhm.
Isn't that kind of what President Doug was just speaking about?
Yep, so section 2 here, what we did is made that section, Article 5, Section 3A. So if you read that and change the wording, but, right, currently it's all appropriate financial records of the WSG will be open to and made reasonably available to the students of the University's council system, state, university auditors, and the news media. Change that to the financial records and activities of the Whitewater student government must be conducted transparently and will be open to the public upon request.
Senator Evans?
I want to, can you yield? I want to.
Can I yield some time to the president?
Of course you can.
I don't think it really matters what that section says in the Constitution because we are a governing body. So even if it didn't say that, we are still subject to have transparent records that can be requested at any time by emailing our campus record custodian, Thomas Wasowski.
Any other questions? I have one. Well, you think got more? I ask this all the time. When it comes to anything that says anything about SGA, even though I don't think they'd have any problem with it, did you talk to SGA about any of the changes or anyone from Rock County about how it might affect them?
I have not, but I can put myself in the shoes of a member of Rock Student Government Association, and I would not like my chair to be fireable by a student body president.
True, that makes sense.
I guess that's up to you.
I guess it is. Ed, ask a question.
So I absolutely understand that, but it does not say that they're represented anymore in this space. Is that elsewhere? And I'm just.
It is in our constitutions, or not, I don't know, the standing rules.
Okay.
I can pull it up, but 8.4 about our advisory councils. All chairs of advisory councils are invited to e-board meetings, I think. I mean, all of our advisory councils, I don't know if it's.
I think it's under e-board.
If you go back to the proposed amendment, so we've added the speaker and the advisor, but who are in that same boat, are they not?
Yes.
As ex officio?
No, so they are not. The change is that here they are members of the executive board, or have 2 seats on the executive board. I would argue that's membership. This is that they're invited to meetings. So.
Right, I'm just saying, we are saying here that they are invited, but you're counting on the ROC representatives not having to be said that they're invited.
Yes. The reason why, yes, the reason why is because a year ago, advisory councils didn't exist. So like, if this was looked at a year ago, the language would be different than it is now, right? And so I wanted to allow room for further changes to continue happening. And with the timeline of changing our constitution, didn't really feasible to have to go to referendum every time. So.
My concern is that I don't want it to appear as though you don't want them to be present, which the change might indicate that. Not only that, but we have a president right now that values that ROC relationship, but next year's or the years after might not value that relationship, and so they might find a way to leave it out. If the standing rules are strong enough that that's not necessary, again, I would defer to the decision of the room. Obviously, I don't vote, so I always defer to the decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's my intent and my belief that Rock should continue being represented on our deputy board. Or invited to those meetings.
Any other questions? Senator Healy?
So I'm back on the transparency part again. So section 3A, would you agree that it would be beneficial to ensure that the financial matters are reasonably available to the public rather, like, so President Bradley earlier said that the financial matters, people can access them, you know, through open records, but that's a lengthy process, and as it stands right now, it doesn't necessarily ensure that there will be a change within the standing rules, making it so that the financial records are like reasonably accessible to people. Would that be something you consider?
I mean, it was written to mirror that public records request process. We can always be more transparent. So I'm not opposed to being more transparent.
Any other questions? There's a lot in front of us, so I'm gonna give it another couple of seconds. For anything anyone might have? All right, going once, going twice, seeing none, wonderful, thank you very much. Any content, we're on to clerical edits?
No.
Content changes? Any content changes? Going once? And twice? Submitters?
In section 2 here, what I would like to add is proposing an annual organizational budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And it's 753.
What was that?
So right where it's section 2A, right? The president is the chief financial officer of the Whitewater student government and is responsible for authorizing expenditures, proposing an annual organizational budget, right? Pause there, add for the upcoming fiscal year, comma, back to this, and ensuring fiscal compliance.
Okay. We'll look for a second on that. Second by Senator Lang. We'll move into discussion. Start.
There's just a comment made by our advisor that it is this president's responsibility to present for the next upcoming fiscal year based on the CSPAC timeline. We should follow that.
Can you highlight where the change would go?
No.
I can highlight, but I can point right here.
Here's a bill. Yeah. Do you have it? Okay, I can show you.
You don't have to show me personally.
That seems like you need it. So.
Thanks very much, sir.
No, right here. Oop. Right here.
Any other discussion? Senator Lang? Any other discussion? And once? And twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we'll move into a roll call vote on the motion. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Janetti,
Aye.
Senator Healy,
Aye.
Senator Hernandez, Senator Lang,
Aye.
Senator Majors,
Aye.
Senator Marty,
Aye.
Senator Patricus,
Aye.
Senator Brunel,
Abstain.
Senator Rayburg, Senator Reyes,
Aye.
Senator Richardson,
Aye.
Senator Schroffenagel,
Aye.
Senator Thompson,
Aye.
Senator Vanderhyde,
Aye.
and zero.
Abstain. Wonderful. With that, in a vote of 13-2, motion carries.
13-0.
13-0 with 2 abstentions. With that, we're back into questions. We're back in content changes. Are there any content changes, Senator Lang?
Yeah, I'd like to change Article 5, Section 30B to say advisor, from president to advisor.
Would you like to, or do you move to?
I move to, sorry.
For a second. Second by Senator Gill. Wonderful. We're in discussion. Senator Lang, you can start out if you'd like.
I mean, I said it earlier when I asked a question. I just think that in an event that the president is the one who's doing something that isn't transparent or isn't accountable, there should be a third party conducting the audit. I think that just makes the most sense.
Senator Richardson.
I think Deputy Speaker Nick said something about like adding a third party versus like completely overruling like the president's authority. I think that would be a good idea, but to completely change it, I think would be like a bit drastic.
President Bradley.
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea to add, the president maybe in consultation with the advisor. I'd be against completely striking president, because if it's not, if the president's not doing something naughty, then it's you're taking away something that is their responsibility and that they would be the foremost expert on.
Senator Gill.
I strongly disagree. The audit process is a form of accountability for the financial officer. So having the financial officer in charge of the form of accountability doesn't make any sense, logically.
Any other discussion? Senator Richardson.
So is there a difference between like the financial officer and the president? Like,
No. Functionally speaking, no. The president acts as the financial officer.
so,
Do you have a follow-up?
yeah, I have a follow-up. So wouldn't that be like assigning an additional responsibility on like the advisor, rather than the president,
Yeah, you can.
which is their responsibility?
Yes, the point is that it should not be the responsibility of the president, because in a situation where they are doing something that they shouldn't, it's like fact checking your own work. So if you lied and you say, I fact checked it, it's your statement that you lied about.
Senator Lang, if you have something else.
I think that would make like the consultation a good idea, and that's kind of like the fact checking you're saying, but I don't think it would make sense to completely strike that responsibility from the president.
Mayor.
I really like keeping the financial burden on the president. If you scroll up to 2, the president could delegate that to the advisor, right? If there is a conflict of interest, that should happen, right? But you should also understanding that if there is that conflict of interest, the president is embezzling funds. And what's the advisor can't really tell you that, and won't tell you that because they follow the financial directions of the president. So you should impeach the president if that happens.
But how will we know that the president is doing this if the audit process is rigged from the start? And then how will we then? No, it's no. Yes, I don't know. It was a statement phrased as a question.
You'd like to, submitters, if you'd like to answer, I assume it's phrased as
I mean, how would you do it regardless, I guess, without an external, right? Neither, the advisor is not external.
If I can clarify, I think from a functional position, what the submitters are saying is, even built into our standing rules and constitution, the advisor works for the organization and the body, and serves, just like we all do to a certain extent, apart from, unless this goes through, the financial direction of the president. So they're more neutral, but just like everyone else in the organization, serve the financial direction.
No, I'm not done.
I'd like to defer time to the president.
President Brad.
As we are governing body, all of our documents, including all of our financial information, is public record and can be requested by emailing Tom Sosowski, the campus record custodian. So if something if there's money being embezzled, you could submit an open records request to the campus, and they would pull it for you. I think that would be your check.
Senator Johnson, did you listen?
Just to add on to what President Bradley said, if someone really wanted to do an audit themselves, they have the resources from the university. So,
Senator Vanderhoek?
Just like a point of clarification, I could be wrong on this, is student government subject to an audit or like something by SUFAC, like a use of funds by SUFAC already? So,
They can be.
Okay.
So the SUFAC audit process happens
Spending review.
randomly asterisk.
yeah,
So yes, just like all student loans.
Yeah.
And I would add that every governance body in the state of Wisconsin is in that way. Submitters?
I can share that student government is on the list for this year to be reviewed for their spending. I also move to amend the motion to read president in consultation with the advisor.
Looking for a second. Seconded by Senator Majors. We're in discussion on the motion. Submitters, if you'd like to.
I do like the concept of it not just being the president, in case there is foul play at play. So the advisor should be looped in on that.
Any other discussion? Senator Richardson?
Just as like a general point of information, does SUFAC play any like role in like the funds that student government like receives and
They
stuff?
do. So when the president submits to SUFAC, he's submitting to SUFAC. SUFAC then makes a recommendation back to our body, to the Senate. That process normally goes down in the fall. Under this process, the new process would look like the president consults the Senate, the organization submits the budget to SUFAC, SUFAC makes a recommendation to the organization then votes to approve if they do so. Vice President?
But just to add that if you do add in consultation with the advisor, it's not only their responsibility to serve as your advisor, but also to be an employee of the institution, which means there's an ethical level as well as an access level to information that is readily available through my work or through your advisor's work, that is, it is readily available to the public. Not that it's not public info, but you have to request it, where I can open up Workday and work my way through to the right pages to find where the purchases are. So I think there's some benefit to that. Ultimately, the advisor will be responsible for things should an audit take place from a campus perspective as well.
I think particularly from a functional perspective as well, it would be extremely difficult to conduct an audit of the organization's budget without the use of the advisor. Any other discussion? Going once? President Bradley?
To that comment, Mr. Speaker, it's not like we just have a bank account that I can access whenever we want. I have to go through Joellen at the SAI office, who then can cut a check and make different payments. And if I want to know how much is in that account, I have to go to either Joellen or Kim. So should there be an audit, my first step is to go to the advisor and say, I need to know how much is in this account, just for reference.
Any other discussion, Senator Lyon?
I guess just a point of clarification. Am I able to consider that a friendly amendment to my motion?
Absolutely, absolutely you can. No, you can't.
Ask for unanimous consent, Mr. Speaker.
I'd ask for unanimous consent to make it friendly. Any opposed? Going once? Or twice? Seeing none? So moved.
Motion's been amended.
Any other discussion? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none? Madam Clerk, are you ready and able? Would you
One
please
second.
call the roll? If we could also read off what it would now.
We're getting it typed up.
Okay, give it a moment, we'll get it typed up. How far does that podium go, folks?
You want to see more of me?
That I think the screens are going.
How to the left? Can the deputy speaker go? How to the left?
It's just trying to type it up.
That was in response to, do you want to see more?
Backspace.
All right, wonderful. So the question on the floor right now is to add with consultation with the advisor. Is that, Senator Lang, is that what good to you? So a vote of aye.
In consultation.
Senator Lang,
Yeah.
in consultation with the advisor, a vote of aye will be a vote in favor of amending the language to that. A vote of nay will be a vote against that. Everyone get it? Everyone cool? Wonderful? Submitters?
Just so we're clear that the vote of aye is amending the legislation to this, not the motion itself.
Any other questions on that? Wonderful. With that, Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
It's too far down.
Senator Dewitt,
Aye.
Senator Hernandez. Aye. Senator Lang,
Aye.
Senator Majors,
Aye.
Senator Trubus,
Aye.
Senator Cornell,
Abstain.
Senator Reaver, Senator Reyes,
Aye.
Senator Richardson,
Aye.
Senator Schrocknagel,
Aye.
Senator Johnson,
Aye.
Senator Vanderhyde,
Aye.
Senator Janetti,
Aye.
Speaker Wilson.
I abstain. Vote 12 to 0 to 2. Motion passes. We're still in content changes. Any other content changes going once? Going twice? Seeing it. Senator Richardson?
Can we just clarify a little bit more about like what the removal of Article 3 Executive Board Section 1, like what that would mean?
Article 3, Section 1. So this, what's in,
Is it to protect like the Rock County E-Board? Is that what the purpose of that
so
was?
what's in red here, right, is to be removed. I'll just show you on here, right? So right now it's whoever possesses the title of president and vice president of Rock County campus will definitely retain 2 seats on the executive board, right? I love the sentiment of the Rock County campus president or chair or vice chair being invited to e-board. Love that. I don't want to misconstrue that. My concern, primary concern, is the sentence right before it, which reads, the president will have the sole right to terminate executive board members and to direct their work. So you could interpret that to be the president can fire the chair and the vice chair of RSGA and can directly direct their work.
Senator Richardson?
But the following sentence is whoever possesses the title of president and vice president of the Rock County campus will indefinitely retain 2 seats on the executive board. Like, doesn't that kind of protect them in a way?
I read that to be that they're members of e-board, members of the executive board. And so under that interpretation, the president would then be able to terminate them as executive board members. So if you change it so it's, like you'll see in a standing rules bill in a week or two, that they're invited to extend an invitation to all meetings of the executive board. Is what we want to do through standing rules, right? Then they're protected from being terminated. that there's individual removal process that they're subject to, right? Rather than being able to be fired.
You may have said this. Is it the submitter's personal interpretation of the current writing that the president and vice president of the Rock County campus are terminatable sole rights to the president?
I don't think so, and we're very fortunate to have a president who also agrees with that. I hope. Yeah. Okay. Sorry for the spot. But when you look at it through the lens of a president who might want to be involved in the Rock County student government process for the wrong reasons, we could do that. Look at that. Looks like President Bradley has a comment. If I could yield some time to him.
President.
I'd also add that there is no such thing as RSG president or vice president. Those are old positions. They're now the chair and vice chair. So it's moot at this point.
Senator Richardson.
Is there a way that we could like amend that wording so it's more clear instead of proposing it in the standing rules, which are more flexible to change?
There is a way you could amend it. You move to amend.
If you're asking a question.
He's asking how.
Or like, does anyone have any ideas about like how we could reword that in the Constitution versus like standing rules?
Yeah, I mean there are lots of ways.
Would you guys be open to that or no?
I can't answer to you whether or not the body would be open to it. They'd have to answer that for you. But to further clarify, I mean, you would just say that if you wanted to only amend what is currently there, you would say you could further define what indefinitely means and allow them to retain those titles, but those titles don't exist. So you'd have to figure out, do you want I think, honestly, to get to the heart of your question, alluding a bit to what President Bradley was saying, is those titles don't exist anymore. So in some way, you have to either use the current titles with the understanding that those titles could change, or you have to use the old titles, understanding that those titles don't exist, or you have to find a way around that. So whoever holds executive authority on the Rock County campus is an option, that kind of thing.
So they don't have like they have a vice chair and
They have a chair and a vice chair.
okay. But we're the only ones with like the president.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not on campus, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, okay.
Senator Heaton?
So clarification on, so right now, as per the language of the Constitution, the WSG president could fire the chair, vice chair of RSGA.
Under a certain interpretation that I've never held anyone to hold.
Oh.
Yes.
President Bradley?
For the sake of just a conversation, we'll say 6.1 of our current standing rules, Part B, reads, the executive board consists of up to 6 directors unless the Senate approves more, and the clerk. The speaker, advisor, and RSGA chair will serve as ex officio members of the executive board. The SUFEC chair shall also be extended and invite to all executive board meetings. Just so you all know that exists, and that's not being changed with any legislation before you today.
And what's in the standing rules is what do you currently practice, right? We don't practice this. At least to my knowledge, the vice chair is not invited. I have not seen him at any e-board meetings. But a change I would like to make in standing rules is that everyone who is listed as an ex officio member is changed to be invited to extended invitation, right? So there's no confusion about ex officio or that whole debate we had about last week. We can just skip all that entirely. They're instead extended and invites to meetings.
Any other content changes? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we're going to clerk letters. Are there any clerk letters? Going once? Twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're out of there. Thank you very much to the submitters. Next week, we will come back and we will be into discussion on item A. But with that, we are on to item B, and I'll allow the deputy speaker to take a seat, because I'll be passing him the gavel.
We are at S25-2609, solidification of Senate officer speaking and voting rights. If you look in your packet, I think it's right after the, right side, right? Is everyone seeing it here?
Thank you very much.
Get our volunteers out of there. And then the submitters, whenever you're ready for.
I don't mean entirely, I mean slightly. Howdy, folks. This is the ledge that Jordan and I were at least slightly referring to last week. Essentially, as Parliamentarian Purnell has alluded to, and the reason we've been abstaining is because whoever holds the power of the chairship, at least in the current interpretation of Robert's rules, would say that the chair or presiding officer and the parliamentarian or whoever acts as the kind of parliamentary advisor to both the chair or presiding officer and the body should be abstaining during votes and being generally neutral during meetings. This brings us back in line with what I would say was our practice for years and years and years before that. To read the exact wording, I'll read the first two, and I'll have Parliamentarian Purnell read the next ones. The Speaker will retain all rights afforded to two senators, including the right to debate and publicly vote on all matters before the Senate without relinquishing the chairship. Relinquishing the chairship in this case just means passing the gavel. The Deputy Speaker will retain all rights afforded to senators, including the right to debate and publicly vote on all matters before the Senate without relinquishing the chairship. Only thing that's added there is when presiding.
And then the parliamentarian will retain all rights afforded to senators, including the right to debate and publicly vote on all matters before the Senate, without removing their advisory capacity to the Speaker of the Senate or the body.
And everything in yellow is what we're looking to change. It's exactly what we just read off. With that, I don't think there's much more I need to go over, so I'll yield.
Alrighty. Are there any questions for the submitters? I have one of those. President Bradley?
Is there a reason that there's nothing about relinquishing the chairship when presiding in the parliamentarians section, as we saw a parliamentarian presiding tonight for a brief period of time?
That is a great question. And
Sorry.
To answer your question, that if the parliamentarian is presiding, we're transferred the duties and responsibilities of the speaker. So the section about the speaker would also.
it is a change that I'm open to making.
Change I'd love to see.
If you'd allow me to so answer, it's a change I'm open to making. I don't think it's a change that's particularly worth seeing, but I think it's still well explained through the ledge, but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Advisor Clarkson?
How do you see the proposal aligning with the edits made about the process for ties?
I don't see how it applies. Could you?
So the proposed statement is that you'll be able to vote if you're a speaker, parliamentarian, deputy speaker.
Mhm.
Are you only going to use that vote in cases of tie? Or does this, and maybe I'm just not reading it correctly, right? Each elected Senate officer present will cast a vote to break the tie. You've already voted, you're gonna vote again? So you count twice?
Yeah, I think that's made clear. But do you think it's left ambiguous?
No, I'm just confirming that you mean you get twice the vote of everyone else at the table.
I don't think I'm suggesting that. I think the legislation we saw earlier tonight is suggesting that. I think the legislation we saw earlier tonight is suggesting that Senate officers get, in the speaker's case, possibly 4 times the vote, I think, if I have that correct.
The process for Senate leadership breaking a tie is just the 3 vote.
Separately.
Separate.
So it's a separate
It's
vote.
a separate vote.
Yeah.
It's not on top of. Okay.
The previous
Uh,
vote had to
uh,
be a Senate vote before that.
I understand and I agree. I take my question.
Could be made clearer through standing rules, so that's in the list of standing rules we'd like to attach to the Constitution. Giving it a opinion here. So, any other questions, Senator Richardson?
What does it mean to relinquish the chairship?
That's a great question. So, just a few moments ago, I held the chairship granted to me through the title of Speaker. I relinquished the chairship to the Deputy Speaker through the physical action of passing the gavel, but also my intention of no longer running the meeting actively to present this legislation.
Is it true that that link is taken from Robert's Rules of Order?
I don't know for sure, but I'll trust you.
It is true. Any other questions? Director Rose?
This is mainly just for me, because I want to understand. So Robert's Rules, as my understanding, was a supplemental document that's used to, like, when there's issues with how processes are being. Since we're going back to how things were because there's no issues, why do we need to make a legislation change to that rather than just redacting us following that Robert's Rules, because we don't have to follow it?
That's the question of the night in my mind. I have 2 answers. Number one, I mean, I'll just personally answer through my role as Speaker. I think probably like 200 to 300 seconds uninterrupted, staring at the book with my feet across on the table in the Senate office, thinking about how I could functionally make the argument in my head that our current rules explain a way where we don't have to, where we can continue doing what was in practice, where we can continue to do exactly what we had been doing in the past, which is the parliamentarian can speak and vote, and the speaker or whoever's presiding as chair can speak and vote. And I sat there and I thought, and I heard people tell me things that I thought they thought meant that we didn't have to follow what Robert's Rules said, and I was unconvinced. I wish I wasn't. I wish, the deepest parts of me wished we didn't have to put legislation up. I could have voted on a bunch of things tonight. That would have been sweet. But like, just in the position I was elected to, I just kind of have to do what my gut told me. And I think Deputy Speaker Petrukas was there, and I know Parliamentarian Purnell were there. I had my feet up on the table. I put my feet down on the table. I put my hands in my head, and I said, I don't think there's a way we can get around it. That's exactly what I said aloud. So the reason that this piece of legislation exists is because I, at least as the current chair, don't think there's any way we can get around it. So we need this piece of legislation to enshrine the practice that we have been practicing.
Current Speaker, you're not the current chair.
Current Speaker, not the current chair.
Are there any further questions, Senator Lang?
I want to allow Parliamentarian Purnell to answer that if they'd like as well.
I will allow Parliamentarian Purnell to answer.
The chair will allow.
Yeah, so our Constitution says that we follow Robert's Rules, and the way that I see it is, as long as Robert's Rules is like the background, and so as long as there's nothing that is covering, nothing that's covering that piece, Robert's Rules will be there that will, if that makes sense. And so because there was nothing that was covering this piece specifically, and Robert's Rules was, we have to find something that will cover this piece. And so we have to sort of put a patch over it. Because as we have it in our documents, we have it so that our standing rules supersede Robert's rules. We have a lot of things in Robert's rules where it's kind of like why do we do it? Why it doesn't work with how we do business, but it's kind of just things that you have to work through, and it's a process that I hope that we can get through, and I hope to work through as a body, but it is a process that we have to unfortunately go through.
Senator Lang.
Am I allowed to make a follow-up point to what Director Gross and Speaker Wilson said? Okay. In Article 6 of our Constitution, where it says governing document authority, very first sentence, in the event of a conflict between governing documents or procedural authorities. I was not really aware that there was a conflict in place. And it also says that Robert's Rules is the last on that hierarchy of governing documents. So how can something that low on the list cause a problem for something higher up if it doesn't come before something higher up?
Can I ask a question in return? So this is what I really struggled with. The question I would ask in return is, do you see something in our standing rules convincing enough that supersedes what Robert's Rules says about what the chair should do? And if so, I mean, great. I've heard lots of people say they have. I can preface your answer with unless you're going to say something new that I hadn't considered. It's likely whatever you say will not resonate in my heart enough to change the interpretation, which led me to think that this should exist. But I would ask that question if you had an answer. And the chair may allow you to answer. Question mark?
I don't have it in the standing rules, but the Constitution says that the Constitution comes before the standing rules, and this makes it seem pretty clear.
Yeah. No, I'm asking what in the standing rules or the Constitution or anything that comes before Robert's Rules explain that the presiding officer should be able to vote and discuss and debate, and the parliamentarian should be able to do the same. That's my question.
Your response, or?
I mean, precedent.
Yeah, that's what rested on my chest too, which is like, should we just go off the precedent? Because like, man, I think that would have been so much easier, you know? I don't think we can, sadly enough.
Dr. Rose, please? Yeah.
Yeah, just a point of clarification. Mel described it as a patch. Are you saying that this is just kind of temporarily kicking this problem down the road, or is this a solution?
No, it's a solution. I mean, I think, I'm not going to speak for parliamentarian for now, but I think when we talk about patch, I think the point is we didn't know the boat was leaking. We looked at some other governing documents. We realized the boat was leaking. I don't think this is a patch. I think it's the solution. I think it's a whole other plank of wood. I don't think it's a large leak, but yeah.
I do have from Robert's Rules of Order here, custom, which is 2:125, if you want to follow along with me. In some organizations, a particular practice may sometimes come to be followed as a matter of established custom, so that it is treated practically as if it were prescribed by rule. That's what I would attribute to the speaking and voting during the debate, okay? However, if a customary practice is or becomes in conflict with parliamentary authority or any written rule, point of order citing the conflict is raised at any time, custom falls to the ground. Right, so essentially, since it has been raised, the custom is no longer followed, and we go back to Robert's Rules of Order, which I believe, and I will allow the submitters to correct me if I'm wrong, is the justification for this legislation.
Indeed.
Advisor question?
I think the biggest thing right now, we're looking at two kind of questions, right? One is this what you want the rules to be? And two is, do we need to put it in the Constitution or not? Or in the standing rules, excuse me, or not? I think based on our last couple of meetings where those three positions have not voted because Robert's rules indicated otherwise, we have a sign that we need to make a decision. And you all get to decide which way you'd like the voting to take place. So this will over or supersede Robert's rules regardless of agreements or not between the documents.
Yes. Director Gross?
Yes, I have a quick question which might be to something else. Is Senate leadership a part of the Student Senate?
Senate officers are. So this is, I mean, can I run on that, or? I'm not trying to steal your thunder. I'll let you have it. Go ahead.
So then I think that our Constitution does cover this with Section 1, the legislative authority, which gives the Student Senate the ability to, I mean, I could read it out loud, but it makes them be able to have the power to make recommendations and decisions on the matter, and I think that covers this pretty clearly. Section 1 and Section 2 of our Constitution, which overrules Robert's Rules of Order.
So this is what parliamentarian Purnell showed me, and gosh, I believe that it was last week, Wednesday, I want to say. I heard somebody say that to me, and I was like, great, we don't even have to write the ledge, we don't have to do anything. That's exactly where my heart landed. And I circled back to Robert's Rules of Order just because I hadn't looked at the text yet. I have a habit of probably being a little too convincible on issues. So I said, well, I'm just going to look at both texts side by side first. And if I take a look, thank you. It goes on, Robert's Rules of Order, with 4329, to explicitly say that the presiding officer is a member of the society, so a member of our body, as an individual, and has the same rights in any debate as any other member. So that's what our standing rules would suggest, right? It means that I could vote, that I could debate, because I have any other right that any other member of the body would have. But then it goes on to say, but the impartiality required of the chair in any assembly precludes his exercising these rights while he's presiding. So I read that and I was like, well, shoot, man. What am I supposed to do when I hear that? Because I don't think our standing rules supersedes that. I think our standing rule says, yes, the chair has the same rights as the body. It's in line here. But our standing rules leaves gray if the impartiality required of the chair in an assembly precludes his exercising of those rights. And I think, at the very least, I am okay with an accusation being levied against me that I have the wrong interpretation. I would see that only as further reason to vote aye on this legislation next week, so that the perceived conflict by the chair of the body no longer exists. It seems like if anyone's trying to convince anyone of anything in the room, it's trying to convince me that in lieu of this, or at least before this gets passed, if it were to, we go back to the way things were. And by golly, do I want to go back to the way things were anyways.
Director Gross, you follow?
I don't know how to word it yet.
Okay. Time. Senator Reber?
So are you arguing that your role as a member of the Senate stops when you chair a meeting or when you are the parliamentarian of a meeting? Because if it does, then you wouldn't have the right to vote, and it would go under Robert's Rules interpretation. But if you still are chairing a meeting as a member of the Student Senate, which in our Constitution very clearly has the right to vote and the right to debate, are you moving into a completely different role? Because you as a member have that ability, irregardless of whether you chair the meeting or not.
Again, I think the frame that we take this in is really important. Number one, I don't have any problem with what anyone's doing right now. It happened all last week. And gosh, I wish I was convinced. I remain unconvinced as chair of the body, and thus, unless I wasn't chair of the body, maybe we wouldn't need this legislation, but I remain convinced as chair of the body, so we really, really need this legislation. But if I were to defend the decision I made as to say that this is what implies, what I'm implying is, I think, as the presiding officer, you're granted the same rights in debate as any other member, just like our standing rules would suggest. But what our standing rules leaves gray is that the impartiality required of the chair in an assembly precludes his exercising these rights. That's the exact verbiage as I've read it. So, like, again, I mean, I wish I were convinced. Like, I don't want to have to. I'd like things to go back to the way they were. I'd like to have not presented this legislation. I'd like to have, gosh. I think I can say this. Maybe I can't even say this. I don't know. There was a moment earlier in this meeting where I wanted to share my opinion so bad. So bad. And I felt I couldn't because of the way I interpreted Robert's rules. And man, did that blow. Man, did that stink. But as I guess as I predicted, I just don't think there's a way around it apart from this.
Senator Lang? Can you read the verbiage from Robert's Rules again? Because I have something for them.
Yeah. If the presiding officer is a member of the society, which in our case, he is, and I'm using gendered language as it's what Robert's Rules does, which in our case he is, he has, as an individual, the same rights in debate as any other member, which is in line with our proceedings. But the impartiality required of the chair in an assembly precludes his exercising these rights while he's presiding.
Okay, can I follow? So if the impartiality takes precedence, does that mean that the speaker and the parliamentarian are also not allowed to write and present ledge? Because that inherently would take away your impartiality on an issue.
I don't think it does, and I'll tell you why. I'm not the chair right now. I can't be the chair while submitting ledge, no. So like, if I maintain the gavel, yes. Yeah, I would agree with you.
You are still the speaker when you're writing it.
Yeah, but I'm not the chair, and Robert's Rules uses presiding officer. Like, I chair this body while I have the gavel. I'm given rights by the standing rules, given my election, to do a bunch of other stuff, like send the agenda out.
Any additional follow-up?
If that is the case, wouldn't your role as a senator still take precedence over your role as chair?
I don't know how it applies. In what regard?
If I may.
You, of course you.
So if you notice at the top here, it is submitted by the three Senate leadership and sponsored by a few senators. When pieces of legislation are submitted, it can be submitted by anyone within the student body. But it has to be sponsored by at least two senators. This is because when a piece of legislation is sponsored by senators, this is them making the motion and seconding the motion. So, in practice, the senators who are sponsoring a motion are making and seconding the motion. So it is our names on the piece of legislation, but we are essentially like the spokespeople of it.
I would go as far as to say, if you were to raise a point that the established custom of putting the title in front of the senator, if they are a Senate officer, I would go as far as to say, if you were to raise that point to the body, it might make sense for us to stop putting the title on until we do this, if that makes sense. And I despise that I think that in my heart, but I think if, Mr. Chair, if you'd allow me to ask a question back to the body, this is not to end debate, I think, huh? Thank you. It's not rhetorical. If anyone would like to answer, they can. My point would be, imagine me for a second, as I'm sure a few of you do, as too stubborn on this issue and wrong. But stop imagining it's me. Imagine it's just some guy who you like way less and is way less handsome. Imagine it's just some other random speaker of the Senate, right? Imagine you're stuck with that speaker who has the interpretation that I have. Wouldn't this legislation passing be the thing that allows us to come back into practice anyways?
Senator Bueller?
This is purely based off of curiosity. So, if you're not the chair right now, are you able to vote on this bill?
No, I won't be voting on this bill.
Why not?
Am I able to? I'm not sure, if I'm being honest. Purely out of curiosity, I think I won't. I didn't last week, and somebody said, well, you could have, and I don't really know. I'm taking a decent guess, you know? I'm hearing from my parliamentarian that I could, but I probably shouldn't, but I'm not sure if they're the parliamentarian right now, man. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, we're moving swiftly past that. Senator Lang.
So if this passes then, if we're in a situation like this again, you can sit down and you can vote on it unless you have financial gain at stake. Right?
Absolutely, that's the whole point. That's what we want.
That's what we've already been doing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's the point of the legislation. This legislation changes nothing about the way we're practicing, apart from the fact that it was raised to the chair that we might be out of order. The chair said, oh, I think we are out of order. Shoot. So now we have to change the way we practice. The custom falls to the ground. But because I think the custom falls to the ground, now we're in need of legislation. If I thought that the custom didn't fall to the ground, one of two things could happen. Whoever thought that the custom should fall to the ground could point of order me, or we could continue throughout our day. The problem is, I don't know, there's this thing in my heart that says the custom needs to fall to the ground. That's the right thing. I wish it wasn't. I wish that's not what I read in the book. Life was easier when that's not what I read in the book.
Senator Reed.
So there was an argument, and I'm sorry, I got a little bit off, but there's an argument that sponsoring ledge is what would make you impartial and not actually submitting the ledge. I don't, if that's the right point that was made, I don't understand. I think it was Jordan who made the point that when you sponsor a ledge, you're making a motion to kind of put that ledge on the floor. I don't get the difference between that and submitting the ledge, unless that was an interpretation issue on my side.
I think that was,
Submitting the ledge is making a motion.
yeah. Submitting the ledge is the motion. In the analogy, at least, as I think.
I believe sponsoring the ledge would be making the motion.
Yeah, I mean, like.
So is sponsoring and submitting the ledge making a motion?
In my mind, I can tell you how I interpret it, but I'm not 100% sure. In my mind, submitting the ledge is making the motion. But any member of the student body can submit ledge, and any member of the student body can't make motions. So when it's a member of the student body who is not a senator, the submitters are both making the motion and second. That's why you need two of them. That's my interpretation. I don't know, I could totally be off. I was off for 2 years before I figured I was off on this.
Senator Bueller.
If I may. Okay. I literally forgot what we were just talking about. Okay.
Any other questions? This is the point we're asking. I'm seeing no further questions. Seeing no, that's all. Okay, we're going to go into content changes. And President Brad, who cannot make a content change but could entertain, ask one to be entertained.
I would like to entertain an amendment so that 5.4G would read in entirety. Retain all rights afforded to senators, including the right to debate and publicly vote on all matters before the Senate, without removing their advisory capacity to the Speaker of the Senate and the body, or relinquishing the chairship when presiding.
Okay. President Bradley is asking for that motion to be entertained. You as a member can pick up that motion. Senator Lang?
Can I entertain?
You want to
Make a motion to entertain.
Motion made by Senator Lang for a second, seconded by Senator Richardson.
Oh.
Nope.
Well,
Second?
yeah, we can do that, but I just had a question.
Okay, well, you, seconded by Senator Richardson for a discussion on the motion. Senator Richardson?
So would that only apply to the parliamentarian, or would we wanna maybe think about doing that for the deputy and speaker as well?
My answer, it's already under Speaker and Deputy. Parliamentarian's the only one is just missing it, I believe, and so I think adding it kind of covers our bases. I think it could be implied that that stands as true, or you could make an argument that they become the Speaker in that regard, but I think it's just best to make it clear.
I think it's implied, but as long as Parliamentarian Purnell's okay with it, I would request that you request unanimous consent to make it friendly.
Okay, can you restate the,
Yep.
language?
Get the mouse is there. It's doing two things. Bless you. It changes the word or to and then at the end adds comma, or relinquishing the chairship, comma, when presiding, period.
So it's and, instead of or, and then or relinquishing the chairship, and then and comma or presiding?
When presiding.
When presiding.
Yep.
Cool. Does everyone have that? Okay, I'll ask for unanimous consent to make that change. Any opposed to that amendment? Seeing none. Changes are made and will be reflected in the legislation. Any other content changes? Seeing no content changes, we're going to clerical edits. Clerical edits. I have one, and you could argue there's a debate of whether it's actually clerical. I would like to change parliamentarian of the Senate to Senate parliamentarian. I move to make that, to change parliamentarian of the Senate to Senate parliamentarian. For a second. Second, that's Senator Lang. Discussion.
I have a question.
Sure.
Why?
It's practice.
Is it everywhere else?
The agenda says parliamentarian.
It's in F.
I don't know why it's parliamentarian of the Senate. That was a thing I proposed years ago. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we would go into voice vote. Voice vote. Okay, we'll do, actually, I'm gonna change course. Could we do a roll call vote? Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll? A vote of aye is to change parliamentarian of the Senate to Senate parliamentarian. With an A, keep it that way as it's included.
I saw maybe 6 head rolls in Europe.
Senator Hernandez.
There was no way back. They just.
Senator Lang.
Aye.
Senator Majors.
Aye.
Senator
Yeah, I don't
Petruka.
understand your argument. It seems good to me.
Senator Purnell. Senator Reber.
Aye.
Senator Reyes.
Aye.
Senator Richardson.
Aye.
Senator Schrocknagle.
Aye.
Senator Thompson.
Aye.
Senator Vanderhyde. Aye. Here, Senator Janetti,
Aye.
Senator Healy,
Aye.
Senator Hernandez. Speaker Wilson.
I abstain.
Vote of 11-0, three abstentions, and the motion passes. Any further clerk letters?
You are doing it on guitar.
Quick point of information.
Sure.
I don't understand. So you're abstaining still, is that just because you choose to abstain, or is that more just?
That's because I think it's the right thing to do. Is that a question directed at me? I don't know what.
I mean, I guess either.
I don't know where we're at in the meeting, Mr. Chair.
I believe it's posed to me as chair of the meeting, but if you would like to answer.
Yeah, I am yielding, I abstain because I think it's what's right.
Right, and I guess I don't understand it because you can't debate or vote, but you're in discussion already. So wouldn't that also mean that you can vote?
I'm not sure. Are you sure?
Because
My question would be, are you sure?
If you're limited from discussion and voting, from having the chairship or being the parliamentarian.
I definitely hear your point. Are you
you're
sure?
there. I mean, that's how I interpret it. I mean, I heard the text being read 3 or 4 times. That's how I interpret it. I'm wondering if I have the wrong interpretation.
So do you interpret it to say, and again, I don't think it's very relevant to the legislation, but we can continue to engage in the discussion on the floor. What I'm hearing from you right now is, Isaiah, you're right, and you shouldn't have voted. Or Isaiah, you're right, and you should have voted because you're not currently chair?
Either way.
Question mark?
I'm more asking if you're not voting because you are chair, or if you're not, and are you both not voting because you're chair and parliamentarian, or are you not voting because of another reason?
I'm not chair right now. I'm not voting because I'm speaker still.
But you're participating in discussion.
Indeed, yeah. And I'm not sure if that's right.
Can
Parliamentary,
so, Speaker Isaiah Wilson is not the chair of the meeting at the moment and can vote and can partake in discussion. He made the choice to abstain, which is within his rights. I am currently the parliamentarian, and as parliamentarian, I cannot relinquish my right to be parliamentarian, and therefore I still do not have the right to participate in partisan discussion or vote in a public manner. So if you notice, I haven't been trying to persuade you one way or the other on this piece of legislation. Just the sort of presenting the facts, or I've been trying to I'm still, if that makes sense.
I mean, I guess I guess I kind of see how it makes sense, but I don't see a functional difference between, what is the functional difference between partisan discussion and non-partisan discussion in this body? I mean, especially.
I mean, if it's a question, man.
Just to remind everyone, all our questions, tonight discussions next week.
Are we still on the legislation?
Technically.
Are we on clerical matters?
I'm pretty, yeah.
So.
Somebody made a
What
point
a
of
point of
information.
information.
Yeah, are you, I guess my point is, I'm not sure, I think it's a little, I do think it's a little germane. I'm entertaining it because I think it's an important discussion, but I'm not sure it's relevant to the legislation. So I've made a choice as speaker about what I think our rules say. I guess maybe what would help me understand is, I think based on the conversation. I definitely know what you would do if you were me as speaker. But I guess I'm asking, if you believed what I believe, what would you do?
I mean, I don't know.
You pose your question if you want to reply very quickly.
I mean, I guess I don't know what I would do if I was in that role and had this interpretation. I don't see, and if you in parliamentary personnel are abstaining because that's what you want to do and that's your choice, that is a different thing. I'm asking whether you're doing that or whether you're doing it because of your role. If you're doing it because of your role, I don't see how you're able to discuss, but not vote. If you're doing it off your own choice, that's a different thing, and anybody can abstain from anything.
Sure. I can answer personally. Yes, I'm abstaining because of my role. If that's your belief, what would you have me do about it? Would you have me stop discussing or start voting?
Start voting.
Okay.
If you're going to discuss, if you have the right.
So while I'm not presiding?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you win. I'll start voting. Done.
If I may.
I'm pretty easy to convince.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Brown.
For me, for the parliamentarian, in Robert's rules, section 4752 says, only in the most involved matters should the parliamentarian actually be called upon to speak to the assembly. I feel that this is an incredibly involved matter, and that is why I am speaking to the assembly and not voting.
Any further questions? We're still on clerk letters, but we get a question, I'll allow it.
Can I ask a question to the body?
Sure, I'll allow it.
If you had a speaker who had an interpretation of this that you thought was wrong, would you be in favor of the legislation? Taking it in line with what you think the speaker should already be thinking? Question mark.
The question was how does all our responses, and would like to give them Senator Richardson.
I think that this discussion and the confusion it's causing is further evidence of why we need this legislation to pass. Because everybody clearly has a different interpretation of what our common sense is or what Robert's rules are and whether which one we should be defaulting to. So I think that this legislation just clears that and provides objective rules.
President Lawrence, do you have something?
I was just going to say the question the speaker posed makes me really uncomfortable. It's getting really close to a vote on a bill we're not allowed to vote on until next week. Asking the body if they're in favor of something.
Okay, last call for clerical edits, which is probably still on. I'm not seeing any, so therefore we will end, this next bill, we will end discussion of the bill here. We'll pick up next week with discussion of it. Thank you all. On to announcements. First one, the gavel, we pass back.
Senator,
Oh, we were just high-fiving.
President Brad.
First off, I'm very pro high five. Thank you. Second off, the international dinner is this Friday. Tickets are sold out. The WSG has 2 tickets that are able to be given away to folks. So if you're interested in a ticket, come find me. If there's more than 2 people who want them, we're going to have to figure out how people get them. But I will take note of who's interested in tickets. Come speak to me after this meeting, please.
I just wanted to say It's On Us is coming up at the end of April, so we have a little bit of time. But just so if you want to get the dates on your calendar, April 27th through May 1st is going to be It's On Us week. So there will be lots of opportunities to help out with that. If you are interested, please let me know.
Vice President.
Two things, if you are a current freshman by credits or senior by credits, you should have received an invitation to take the NESI survey today. That's a really important opportunity to share what your experience has been like. It really informs everything from how first year experience all the way through graduation goes, so please take the time to answer that survey. And then, not to give you another survey, however, the University Center typically does a programming survey every spring that asks what kind of programs would you like to see on campus, what kind of entertainment, education, and so on. That survey opened today. We expanded it. It's not longer, but it includes the Art Gallery, Warhawk Alley, and UC Live. So please, when you see the invite to take that survey, give us your feedback. We book a ton of our events in the month of April. So the survey's out the full month of March, and our goal is 1,000 students to take that survey, so please help us get there.
I know you all are very involved, so apply for the involvement awards. The application closes on the 15th at 11:15.
Senator Majors.
As, again, the etiquette dinner still has seats available. That is Thursday, March 12th in UC 275B, starting at 4 p.m. There are plenty of seats, and it's a great opportunity, so we would love to see you there.
Dr. Crowe.
To give you another survey to fill out. The instructor award nomination survey will be getting out tomorrow morning. I ask for all of you to fill out that survey, nominate your instructors, nominate your advisors, nominate literally everybody, because everyone's amazing and pretty good. And share it with your friends, have them nominate, and your instructors can win the instructor award, which is cool. Amazing.
President.
I want to make some comments about a survey, but it's not a new one. Someone has already mentioned the NESI. It should take you about 20 minutes, requiring that all executives and e-board members who fall within the those who received it do complete it. So if you have questions about how to get there, what the process looks like, please feel free to ask e-board members.
Senator Thompson.
Just a quick thing, Alpha Gamma Delta had their AG Deals event last week, so thank you for everyone who came out.
Any other announcements? And once, from the gallery?
Student Veteran Alliance is meeting this week on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. This is my formal invitation to all of you. If you want to show up, feel free.
Any other announcements from once? Twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're going to adjourn. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Senator Lang.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Senator Schroeder. Can I get a voice vote? Any opposed? Going once, going twice, seeing none. We're out of here at 9:04.
Oh my lord.
Lofton, Danny, can I speak with you for a moment?